The Africa Twin is a legend that was born out of dirt. The original was based on Honda's super successful Dakar-winning bike, the NXR. No wonder it had no equal when it came to off-roading abilities, particularly in the adventure motorcycle space. Honda has now brought back that name.
The new Africa Twin, unlike the original, is not heavily based on Honda's current Dakar rally bike, but it is an Africa Twin, and that means it ought to work on dirt. But the real reason that Honda has launched this motorcycle is to make hay while this whole adventure bike fad shines bright. Thankfully, Honda has not gone for the BMW GS product sheet, the GS of course being the most successful adventure bike in the market today across the world. Honda is focused on lightness. They wanted a slim waist, a low seat height and limited power. So the idea is to have or give riders more accessibility than bragging rights.
Time then to go look for some dirt and see if the new bike actually lives up to the legendary name. But before we get there, we have a city and a bit of highway to contend with. And all for the better, I say, because if this ADV is as good as Honda advertises, it might just be all the bike you ever need.
Okay, so I haven't even started rolling yet, and immediately I think I like the Africa Twin. It's got this low seat height and it's got this narrow waist, which means I can comfortably plant both my feet on the ground, which I think is great, especially if a motorcycle seems this heavy and this tall. And then when you start rolling, oh my god, the balance is absolutely spot on. It's almost like a self-balancing bike. You don't have to work the steering, you don't have to work your body weight, there's nothing. It just, till the time you're rolling, it just balances itself and feels like a much lighter, smaller motorcycle than it is. So you've got neutrally set foot pegs, you've got a handlebar that's wide and tall, and then you've got a seat that's really spacious. It is a little stiff, I think, but I think that will help in the long run. If accessibility is what Honda was after, I think they've got it. And I've been riding it around in the city for some time, and I'm surprised that it just doesn't get warm. It's a 999cc liquid cooled paddle twin, but it just doesn't get hot. I think I can commute on this every day. The other thing that I really like about this bike is this really tight turning circle. Just makes it great to filter through traffic. You know, you don't have to worry about making 3-point turns, especially on a heavy motorcycle. We've tried parking this, and even then, I mean, it might be 240 kg plus, but still, you can push it around quite comfortably. So this is the only adventure motorcycle that you can buy, which is an automatic. And I've been riding this motorcycle in D mode. You've also got S, which can further, be split into S1, S2, S3. But for the city, I think D works absolutely fine. The gear shifts, you can hear them, you can feel them, but they don't take away anything from the riding experience. It's just a matter of getting used to. There's another thing about the throttle not being as immediate as you would like, but again, if you're used to riding scooters or if you've ridden a scooter, I think it's the same thing. It's just a matter of getting used to. So is the Africa Twin cumbersome or easy to live within the city? I would say easy. The automatic helps in a big way. I mean, I don't have to keep pressing the clutch lever again and again, and no matter how light the clutch pull on a motorcycle might be, if it's bumper to bumper traffic, it does, hurt your left wrist after a while. I can see myself commuting on this every day, and I've got a 40-kilometer commute one way. I like this for the city.
The D or drive mode on the automatic gearbox doesn't work as well on the highway. It's better then to stick with Sport or S mode. And the S mode itself has 3 settings: S1, S2 and S3, with each successive mode adding more aggression and noise to the proceedings.
Now let me explain that a bit. Now when you move from S1 to S3, the gearbox holds on the revs for a little longer and a little higher. So it does improve the throttle response, but it also makes the ride a little noisier. Now this is a relaxed cruiser, it's not an aggressive machine. So I'd prefer S1. It's just got the right balance between shifting at the right point and then giving you enough throttle response. I think it shifts just short of 4,000 RPM. It's also great for touring, relaxed touring. You can do 100, 110, 120 kilometers an hour and it'll do it all day long. And then when you have a fast test bike pass you and you haven't noticed what it is and you want to see it, then all you have to do is just open the gas and it gets to high hundreds within no time, right? It's only when you have to slow down, that's when I thought that there's a little bit too much front end dive. Now it has completely adjustable suspension front end rear, but we run whatever we get from the factory. And in that sense, I think it's a little too soft and there's just a little too much dive. The brake feel also is a little soft, a little more bite would have been better. So what do I think about this as a touring machine, especially in the automatic context? I think it works really well. There might be people who believe that you have one less thing to do, so you might not be concentrating completely, but I don't think that's true. What really helps is that you can do long distance, long hours, because you're not tiring yourself, you don't have to clutch, you don't have to worry about the gear shifts. It just makes for a nice, relaxed, long distance machine.
On the ghats though, the Africa Twin doesn't feel too great. It's not cumbersome around corners, but with that large front wheel and tires that are a compromise so that these work both on tarmac and on dirt, you can't really lean on them with utmost confidence. This clearly isn't going to bring you much joy on a switchback.
So here we are on dirt finally, Africa Twin's home ground so to speak. But immediately I can see two challenges. One, the Africa Twin does not come with proper off-road tires as standard. And two, it's an automatic. Now when you go dirt riding, two things really matter. There's balance and there's control. And if you take away the clutch lever, the control bit just goes outside the window. But Honda says they've got that covered with their dual clutch automatic. Now this should be really interesting.
And interesting it is, because for starters, you can't stall the bike, joys of an automatic if you will. And that means there's always power to pull you out of sticky situations. Then, to compensate for the lack of a clutch lever, the Africa Twin comes with a G or gravel mode. Honda says it works like a half-engaged clutch. So yes, the bike's responses are more immediate, but never jerky, and it works superbly when negotiating slow turns or taking on a hill climb. It's also good to leave the traction control setting at its strictest when going up a slippery incline, as we found out. If not, we wouldn't have made it to the top and would have just been spinning the rear wheel instead. But sometimes, even the electronics can't keep up with the lack of traction, and that's when you need some human intervention. Meanwhile, to better manage a steep descent, one can also turn off the ABS on the rear wheel, giving you more control and slowing down the pace. Then on trails, the Africa Twin's beautiful balance and progressive brakes, not to mention great throttle adjustability, allows you to carry the sort of speeds you wouldn't generally attempt on a near 250 kg motorcycle. Dial down the traction control and it's hilariously easy to steer the bike on par, with the rear sliding only as much as you need. It's also great to stand up and ride. Again, the lovely balance of the bike comes to the rescue, as does the ergonomics, which clearly work equally well sitting or standing up. The Africa Twin then, true to its name, an automatic gearbox or not, is a joy off the road.
We've been trying to answer two questions from the very start. First, can an automatic and a big bike really work together? Now, if it is like the dual clutch transmission we have on the Africa Twin, helped with some electronics, I think it works well. Now, I have been riding this motorcycle for over 500 kilometers, and honestly, I really haven't missed the manual. But the second, more pertinent question is, can the Africa Twin be the only motorcycle in your garage? And I think that's a yes too. It can commute, it can take you on a road trip around the world, and then when the road runs out, it'll still keep going. Plus, it's a great looking machine. I absolutely loved it. I hope you liked our video. If you did, subscribe like and share. And also for more info on Africa Twin and its competitors, go to bikewale.com.